But first, All-Star break. Rockets are right where they need to be. According to 538.com, the Rockets' chances of making the finals now stands at 48%. And winning the title? How about 34%? That's ahead of both the Raptors and Warriors. And tonight's Sports Extra question is this: which is most likely, Rockets winning the title, Rockets making the finals, or neither? We call that our "when does baseball start" answer choice. And while all of you are voting on that, time to bring in Danny Rotera. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And our special guest this week, Alykhan Bijani and Kelly Iko, the Rockets reporters from 97.5 FM ESPN Houston. Okay, guys, 34% chance of winning the title. Does that sound right to all of you?
Yeah, I think so, because for me, whoever wins the West is going to win the NBA championship. So I'm surprised the Warriors number isn't a little higher. And yes, they are right behind the Rockets, about 12%, right behind them. So I think their number should be higher, but yeah, why not? I mean, the team leading the way should be the favorite at the break.
I would agree. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, at this point in time, I think I would take the Rockets 12 guys rotation versus the Warriors' current 12 guys. They have top 12 guys. The reason why I say that's depth. Whenever you go into the playoffs, if injuries occur, you need guys to be able to plug and chug. Rockets just got Joe Johnson, just got Brandon Wright, two guys similar to the players they already have right now. So if anything ever happens, they can just plug and chug and go. And they all have different versatile skill sets, which Coach D'Antoni loves.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, it sounds crazy for Houston fans to be thinking about the finals right now, but 34% is a very good chance, because when you think about it, right now they're on the 10-game winning streak. I think this is the first time in history we have two double-digit in the season, winning streak in the season. So I think Houston is confident they can make the finals.
Yeah, I think that's why they play the game. So James Harden and Chris Paul. My question is, who's helped whom more? Because to me, Chris Paul has done wonders for James Harden, because when Chris Paul is in that locker room, not everyone goes to James Harden for that comment. And I think that's probably lessened the burden on James.
Well, I think that James, believe it or not, has gotten even a little bit more confident, because Chris Paul has shown so much confidence in him to lead this team. You know, before, yes, this is James's team, and we all know going into this season that wasn't going to change. But when you have a guy of the caliber of Chris Paul coming in and saying, look, James, you can do this, I think that just boosts not ego, but confidence a little bit more, and I think he's right on point. He's playing the best basketball I think that he's ever played.
And from a basketball perspective, you guys, you know, we have Chris Paul, we have James Harden. Both of them right now are the top two isolation scorers in the NBA, which is crazy to think about. James Harden leads the league in isolation points per possession at 1.25, and then Chris Paul is at 1.20. Both first and second. So the Rockets like to take advantage of mismatches, and when they do that, teams have no answer for them, because if you switch, they can go one way. If you double or trap, they can go another way. You have, those two guys are just getting it done for the team right now.
And I think another thing that goes unsaid is the intangibles. Chris Paul, a veteran presence, a locker room leader, and James Harden needed that coming into the season. It was a bad ending to last year's playoffs, the Game 6. We all know about that. Don't talk about it.
No, nobody wants to talk about it.
But Chris Paul coming in, and he wants James to take that next step to get better, because he knows how great James can be.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that James is taking that leadership role and stepped up his game even more this season.
Quickly, is there a stretch of games during the second half that the Rockets should be really worried about? Because I look at maybe March 6th through 9th, you got Celtics, Thunder, and Bucks, and to me, that's a tough three games in a row there.
Well, maybe not a stretch of games, but their road schedule is obviously tough. I mean, they have to go to Toronto. We remember what happened when they played the Raptors here at home. That was one of the ugliest games of the season. They have to go to Minnesota. They have to make a trip to Portland. So it is going to be tough. It'll test them for the playoffs, though.
You know, they have a tough, I think, 10-game start to the second half of the season. Their strength of schedule actually changes. The Warriors had the 21st easiest schedule, so one of the toughest schedules in the NBA, the first half. Now they'll have the third easiest schedule. So the Rockets basically switch spots with the Warriors in that regard. It becomes a little bit more tougher. Not only that, you also have a back-to-back in Utah and Denver, which we all know a back-to-back in a high-altitude environment is very hard, even for pro athletes. So it remains to be seen, can they get through that those first 10 games, because San Antonio will be right in that stretch too. Kawhi may be coming back. So it's a good test for the Rockets as they try to get their defense more consistent, continue to figure everything out before they hit the postseason.
And I think another thing is the seeding for the teams below us, because Denver, Utah's coming up, the Clippers. If the Rockets go on, let's say 7-3, and like you said, the OKC Milwaukee back-to-back is a real tricky one too. I think if Houston wants to get to the finals, like you said, the first question, we need to have favorable matchups in the first and second round. We don't want to meet, say, OKC in the second round, or the Spurs or something. So that'll go a long way.
And speaking of the second half, and let's keep this real quick in a few words or less. This team is not perfect, though they are in first place. What do they need to work on in the second half? What do they need to improve on?
It may seem obvious, but just defensive consistency. I know adding some of those guys, you mentioned the depth, that'll help. I think that's been so huge for them so far this season. But if they can maintain that level of play going through into the playoffs, it'll be huge.
All right, guys, quickly. Improvement.
I agree with Daniel. I think that's the biggest thing Coach D'Antoni also talks about as well. Whenever we ask him what are some things you're looking to improve upon, your team has won 10 straight. He's going to say defense. In the playoffs, you're going to switch a lot. Teams will switch to disrupt your rhythm. The Rockets are working on their switching defense right now, especially off the ball. Whenever you play the Warriors, you need to switch well, especially with those cross screens and cross switches. And so the Rockets will continue to work on that, and let's see if they can get that into high gear as they hit the postseason.
Yeah. For me, where's the camera? I need the camera.
All right. Well, the camera's not here, so just tell us.
The main thing is health.
Okay.
That's huge.
Forget the 538, forget the tactics. If the Rockets can get healthy at the right time, there's no telling what we can do. We've been banged up all year. The less Keith Jones have to do, the better for this team.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Alykhan, Bijani, Kelly Iko, Rockets reporters from 97.5 FM ESPN Houston. Daniel, thank you. You'll be back as well. So, guys, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right.